Hello everyone, welcome back from my almost 1 month hiatus, and today I thought why not go back to my roots of Naruto and the rest of the big three with a highly requested Vsbattle, that being Kaguya Tsutsuki from Naruto versus Yhwach from Bleach, and find out who truly wins between the two. But before I start, be sure to subscribe as I am on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and it would greatly be appreciated. And lastly, but most importantly, enjoy. Now, when it comes to Kaguya, I've mentioned her in many of my prior Naruto-related videos, but I've never actually had the time to properly scale her. As with Kaguya, it's best to break up her scaling into two separate parts to not only distinguish, but elaborate on both. That being the Stardust Solar System meta and the Undermined Universal Kaguya meta. But before then, let's go over how strong Kaguya is generally to get a clear consensus on Kaguya's overall power. Kaguya should comfortably scale above that of Madara. Prior to almost all of the current Naruto history, such as the Great Wars and even the construction of the Hidden Leaf itself, Madara would fight against the first Hokage countless times, in which he would effectively tame and overwhelm the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails within the first data book is stated to have power that could turn the world to ash at just 50% of its entire existence in part 1. This is again consistent, as it's again reiterated and reinforced in the 4th data book, while it's again only having half of its overall power and existence, that it has earth-shattering power. Madara, even within the 4th war, claimed that the Susanoo itself not only rivaled the Biju in power, but flat out showcased power that even surpassed that of the 9 Biju themselves. Madara would then attain the 10 Tails alongside the Rinne Sharingan and contend against a newly awakened Sage of 6 Paths mode Naruto and Sasuke. Keep in mind, within the 4th data books, it stated that the base cloakless 6 Paths Sage mode Naruto had attained from Hagoromo surpasses the prior KCM 2 plus Sage mode transformation Naruto had used prior against that of Jubito. Now that we've established that Naruto and by extension Madara is at least planetary in power, as they do scale above the full 9 Tails and not the half that both Naruto and Minato have, that were stated to have earth-shattering power and power to turn the world to ash, but Madara would then absorb the chakra of an Amp Shinobi alliance, in which he would quite literally almost explode, and in his place Kaguya would then emerge. Kaguya would then transport Team 7 and Obito to her lava dimension, and throughout the battle would fight against Naruto and Sasuke simultaneously. After being overwhelmed by the team of Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi, however, Kaguya would then absorb the chakra of the Shinobi Alliance and would then make an expansive Chusuke orb, which was going to destroy her entire dimension. And by destroy, I don't just mean the physical matter within it, but its entire existence. As within the proper translation, it verbatim states, and I quote, "The expansive Chusuke orb, listed as a Kekemura ninjutsu, it states that she has used the divine Shu to absorb chakra from all of the shinobi and created a maximized Chusuke orb, the equivalent black orbs that appear behind Naruto's back when using the Sage of 6 Paths mode can't be compared to its dimensions. Comprised of all 5 elements in yin and yang, it has the power to obliterate the world and return it to nothing. Comprised of all chakra natures, a vast expanding mass it fills to the brim. Created to reshape the world, it was a huge mass of chaos." End quote. This further supports that this level of destruction is above that of both vaporization and atomization, and that Kaguya was going to nuke her entire dimension, especially since we know that the Chusuke orbs do attack and penetrate the receiver on a spiritual level, as seen with Minato and almost the entire rest of the Edo Tensei. Keep in mind, these dimensions are directly shown to have full day and night cycles within them, and within the official Naruto OVA titled The Day Naruto Became Hokage, we directly see a physical star within Kaguya's dimensions, which would debunk any other artificial light source arguments. We also know that Naruto and Sasuke did create another moon, as the moon within the main Naruto universe seen within Naruto the Last was created by another Chibaku Tensei, both Hamura and Hagoromo made, to seal the prior 10 Tails that fought alongside Kaguya. You also cannot ask the audience to prove a negative claim, and the claimant has to stand to defend the aforementioned positive asserted claim, that being that it isn't a star presented with evidence, meaning it is by that axiom and self-evident truth by Kaguya not only was going to destroy her dimension, but that Kaguya is actually solar system level at bare minimum. We also know that there are Roche limits between the moons and their planets, which would basically mean how far the moon can be away from the Earth before the Earth's gravitational binding energy negatively affects it. Generally speaking, if we use the Earth in comparison to our moon, this would mean that at bare minimum, Kaguya's dimension would be about 238,855 miles, or about 384,400 kilometers in sheer diameter alone. However, Even then, this is wrong and a massive lowball, as we have to take into consideration the aforementioned star shown within her dimension, in which this would be about 93 million miles, or about 150 kilometers, and don't forget the Roche limit would still apply. This would mean that Kaguya's dimension would literally have to be solar system level in size and in sheer diameter, meaning Kaguya would have to have destroyed a solar system level distance when destroying her dimension, but destroy the 2 moons and aforementioned stars within it as well. I know that one may say that Kaguya doesn't scale to the True Seeker Orb, actually gained chakra from the Shinobi Alliance. However, we know that the Alliance wouldn't even hold a candle to an even one-tailed Naruto during part 1, as we know that Naruto amped the entire Alliance with one tail's worth of chakra, which is about 4 times Kakashi's aforementioned base chakra level, whilst having only 1/2 of Kurama's overall chakra. And this wouldn't even matter, as we know that not only does this not even compare to a base Hashirama chakra level, but even a base 10 tails, as Kurama blatantly admits inferiority to that of the aforementioned 10 tails. Madara then remakes the God Tree, which is amped by not only the 10 tails chakra, but all 9 Biju, and then absorbs it. He then also absorbed the aforementioned 1-tailed chakra cloak into the God Tree and absorbs that as well. Finally, he tries to absorb the Shinobi Alliance chakra and quite literally explodes. So yes, Kaguya does scale to the True Seeker Orb, as if she didn't, she would have quite literally exploded, which she didn't, and her turning into a rabbit doesn't mean she exploded. That's not a debunk either. As for speed, we know that Kaguya should be the strongest character in all of Shippuden, say maybe DMS Kakashi if you scale him the right way, and should scale over any prior character along with their speed feats. The Raikage at bare minimum should be at least the speed of light, as there are multiple people such as Darui who are able to use the laser circuit that is stated to be light speed, and Darui still jerks off the Raikage. Even within the 4th data book, it's verbatim stated that a V1 Raikage moves like light or at the speed of light, and within V2 he should logically be faster than when this statement was made. Naruto would then speed blitz this version of the Raikage and would get numerous upon numerous of times faster, and should be dodging things such as the Light Fang and things of that nature, meaning Kaguya should be at least massively faster than Light at the very least. Now, I've scaled Yhwach in the past, such as within my GER versus Yhwach video. However, arguments have changed, and with that comes more simplistic and logical ways to scale Yhwach rather than what I did in those videos. Yhwach's entire goal throughout the 670-ish chapters of Bleach was to destroy that of the Soul Society, World of Living, and Hueco Mundo. The World of the Living within chapter 148 are directly stated and shown to have multiple upon multiple stars within them, meaning at the very least, the Soul Society should be at least multi-solar system in size and be very near to those galaxy ranges, if not already galaxy in sheer size and diameter. We know this is consistent, as Yamamoto simply releasing his Bankai threatened the existence of the aforementioned Soul Society, and Yhwach, whilst not having access to his Almighty and with his eyes closed, which yes does affect his power greatly, would be able to not only steal Yamamoto's power, but one-shot him. As I said prior, we know that there are Roche limits between celestial bodies and their orbiting planets, meaning at the very least a society would have to be multi-solar system or galaxy in size in order for it to be consistent with the narrative, and in order for Yhwach to scale to this. Gremmy, the self-proclaimed strongest Stern Ritter, was also stated to create space and the galaxy within the said aforementioned space he had created during his fight against Kenpachi. This is further consistent, as it's again reiterated within the Can't Fear Your Own World light novels, which we know are canon, as they are written and commissioned by that of Kubo himself, that even prior to this, Gremmy would then summon an asteroid out of almost geared stationary orbit that was stated to have enough power to destroy the Soul Society itself, meaning at the very least, Yhwach does scale this high, and this is without the aid of the Almighty. If I haven't already proved to you that Yhwach does scale to these 9 galaxy level ranges of power, Asuka Naklivar, one of the main Stern Ritter, not to be confused with the Schutzstaffel, and no, not the ones from World War II either, but Yhwach's Royal Guard, it was stated that time and time again that Yhwach was going to destroy that of the 3 realms, including Hueco Mundo, but the Mukin and Dangai and even the Garganta. The Garganta being the space between the realms, that being the aforementioned Soul Society, Hueco Mundo, and World of Living, but the Garganta would also need to be qualitatively larger than that of the 3 realms. However, if Yhwach was going to truly destroy the Garganta is a bit ambiguous due to character knowledge claims and things of that sort, such as that. However, it is narratively consistent. Yhwach's true objective was to meet the Soul King and merge the realms into one seemingly, destroying the three realms at least in terms of their own individual identity and combining both life and death on some yin and yang Hagoromo shit. However, in order to do that, Yhwach must first get past that of the Royal Guard. Now the Royal Guard is pretty fodder, except for the man known as Ichibei Hyosube. Ichibei Hyosube, who in the same light novel was comparable to that of the entire Gotei 13 as a whole, including a Prime Yamamoto, who is in fact Stardust Solar System level as I said prior, but Ichibei also has the ability to rewrite and manipulate anything his ink touches. Furthermore, anything his ink should touch also loses its name, either dead or alive. This would mean that his ability does work on a spiritual level, which completely negs something or someone like the Edo Tensei, as the Edo Tenseis relied upon the soul to even exist as a jutsu. Ichibei then power nulls that of Yhwach, making his power level per se that of an ant, using his Bankai Ichimonji, and using his power of black in order to manipulate Yhwach's aforementioned godly power and status to nothing but a mere ant crawling on the ground. However, Yhwach's eyes would then open, and this is where the Yhwach who gets winked and jerked off by the Bleach fan really gets to showcase his power. As I said earlier in the video, Yhwach while fighting Yamamoto had his eyes closed, but what does it truly mean now that his eyes are open? Yhwach possesses the famous ability of Shrift Letter A, the Almighty. The Almighty is oftentimes either winked or downplayed. However, I think after my reread of Bleach and the Bleach manga, light novels, and the data books, I found a proper definition and denotation for what the Almighty is and does. The Almighty, as Yhwach puts it, is not only the ability or power to see into the future or through the future, but to completely alter and change it and basically have complete dominion over that of time in reference to the future. The Almighty is able to regrant the power and resist power nullification, as seen with Ichibei, as when Ichibei does take away Yhwach's names and other items, Yhwach does just simply regrant those things back to himself just by simply saying them. However, with Yhwach being so broken and godly, one may beg the question, just how fast is Yhwach? Well, a lot of Yhwach's speed feats do scale upon other characters such as Ichigo. In the late parts of the Soul Society arc in the data books, it's said that Ichigo's Bankai makes him move at lightning speeds against Byakuya. While yes, I know that this is a, very clear hyperbole, this level of speed isn't very inconsistent for the verse, however, as Ichigo's Bankai power-up is shown to increase more of speed than that of any other stat, which is shown within flash typing against Byakuya and speed blitzing the aforementioned Byakuya, which he couldn't do prior. Ichigo is then able to react and effortlessly dodge the Nagashionn, which seems to be a beam of light that transports hollows back to Wako Mundo. However, this isn't all. Later on in Wako Mundo, Ichigo is able to dodge the Sero. The Sero again in the data book is an extrapolation, which is stated to be a beam of light which Ichigo was again effortlessly able to dodge. Even the likes of Ukiyora's Lanzada Relambago, which scales potentially 100 times that of above the base Sero via the aforementioned second resurrection scaling, in which the second resurrection is 10 times the amp that the first resurrection is, and the first resurrection is stated to be equal to that of a Bankai by, Urahara, and even prior espada such as Ariñero is stated and shown to dodge sunlight early on within the Arankar arc against Rukia, and she's able to match his speed and later on overpower and beat him. I've heard that Ichigo might have inaccessible speed due to him being in the Dangai, but like I said, the Dangai is stated to be separate from space and time, but not only is it just talking about separate from the world of living and Soul Society space and time, but it's like I said prior, the Dangai is still affected by torrents space and time. In my personal opinion, both Yhwach and Kaguya are pretty much equal in speed, if not Yhwach having the slight edge due to multipliers within the Bleach series. However, even then, this isn't all that Yhwach could do, as Yhwach would quite literally rewrite the future in any and all timelines, and might even be able to stop that of Kaguya's ETSO and Speed Blitz in one shot. Even things such as Kaguya's Ash Bones won't even be able to remotely damage that of Yhwach, especially if you do give Yhwach not only all the abilities of the Stern Ritter, such as the Visionary or the Balance, but any and all of those who come into contact with that of the Stern Ritter and Yhwach's soul are embedded to Yhwach, and all of their power, souls, and memories will return to Yhwach as well. This basically means that if Ichigo dies, Ichibei, Yamamoto, who did die, Aizen, which really isn't likely, Byakuya, and everyone who fought in the 1000-year Blood War arc would basically make Yhwach comp Bleach, and Yhwach would neg that of Kaguya. However, what if we give both of these characters their 4th dimensional scaling? Could Kaguya maybe overpower Yhwach with her hacks and raw power? Now, what I'm about to say is supported by factual evidence. However, whether you choose to believe in what I'm about to say is entirely up to you, and my word is not objective. Obito, during the fight against that of Kaguya, would verbatim state that Kaguya's dimension is that of a space-time, even within the original kanji, which I'll show on screen. We know that Obito is a credible source and does have sufficient knowledge on what time spaces are, due to him not only having his own, but him being able to make and almost perfectly distinguish Kaguya's dimension from that of the main Naruto planet. This is further supported as if he didn't have the sufficient knowledge necessary to do this, he wouldn't have been able to create a gateway between that of his own Kami dimension and that of Kaguya's Sand dimension to retrieve Sasuke. Kaguya was also going to destroy the aforementioned dimension using that of the ETSO, in which I will acknowledge that the original kanji of the scan that I'm referring to does say space. However, our fourth dimensional space-time continuum, aka our universe, is referred to as space on an almost everyday constant basis. Does that then mean that our universe is no longer 4D or space-time because it is simply referred to as space? No, right? So that would mean that Kaguya's dimensions would still be space-times, and simply then being referred to as a space doesn't debunk Kaguya's dimensions being a space-time, and if anything, would just make the definitions mutually exclusive to each other. Seeing how Kaguya's dimensions are fourth-dimensional in nature and are shown and provided by the scans, one would presuppose that her dimensions are 4D, and Kaguya was shown to be capable of destroying and recreating that of her Genesis dimension, which is the scan where she uses the ETSO. This would mean that under the aforementioned axiom I presented prior of Kaguya's dimensions being a space-time, Kaguya would be 4D universal. A thing that I've seen floating around in multiple servers, however, is that Kaguya's dimensions are infinite in size. I thought I had laid this notion to rest in my Zoro vs Sasuke video, however, I guess not. The reason for this argument's existence is simply because Sasuke states that he can travel only through finite distances using that of the Ameno TJ Kara, and because he cannot teleport between dimensions, therefore Kaguya's dimensions are infinite. However, this is false. Sasuke not only didn't have the ability to use transportation portals until Naruto the Last, if not Boruto, but the reason Sasuke couldn't teleport in the first place had nothing to do with her dimensions being infinite. It had everything to do with the fact that he needed to switch places, which is why he needed Sakura's jacket, which was in an alternate dimension he wanted to travel to in order to teleport. Meaning, no, Kaguya's dimensions are not and is not infinite in size, and Sasuke simply couldn't teleport due to the preconditions placed on the Ameno TJ Kara as an ability. Now, Yhwach's universal scaling is far easier to explain than that of Kaguya's, as it's based upon the first movie, Memories of Nobody. Within that movie, the Kyogoku was stated to be a hyperspace. A hyperspace by definition being a dimension or realm with more than 3 dimensions. This would mean that regardless of the spatiality or temporality of said aforementioned dimension, the Kyogoku would have to be 4D in order for the narrative to be consistent. As we know, this cannot be the alternate definition of hyperspace, which is used for fast and light interdimensional travel, but rather an actual 4D plane, as this is a space or plane of existence. Ichigo and by proxy, Yhwach is not only able to destroy this realm completely, but exists within it, which would make him 4D Universal Plus as well. For those questioning the validity and canonicity of this movie, however, it was stated within the manga to be extrapolated with the movie, but stated again within the Bleach Can't Fear Your Own World light novel, which gives credence that this movie, yes indeed, is canon and supported by that of Bleach and Kubo. However, there are also some debunks to Bleach and Naruto's universal scaling, so I'll leave it up to your interpretation on if you think they are or aren't universal. However, I do think some arguments such as the Kyogoku argument and Kaguya's space-time argument are somewhat reliable when it comes to their scalings. However, when it comes to things such as Debunking being infinite or Kaguya's dimensions being infinite, this is where the cracks comes to show in Bleach's and Naruto's universal scalings really start to show. In my honest opinion, this is a better argument for universal Ichigo and or Bleach in general, as things such as the Dangai and Mugen aren't really sufficient, as the Mugen being infinite is directly contradicted by that of the light novel, and the manga statement is contradicted and stated to be near infinite. Not only that, but infinite within a fictional sense is mostly due in part to it being vastly large, as opposed to being truly infinite. However, this isn't always the case. case. In the case of the Dangai, however, being completely separate from space and time, we know this isn't the case, seeing how Ishin directly gives a time quantification, and it's also stated to be surrounded and affected by that of torrents of space and time. Ichigo also begins to feel the duration of time he spent within the Dangai when he does enter Karakura Town, meaning yes, it is still affected by time, however has a different alternate time flow than what Ichigo is used to. The databook statements for the Bukin also delude you into thinking that the Bukin is infinite, and it's not and truly couldn't be, since it's stated that it's a part of the Soul Society, which you know that there is a size quantification for, meaning the Mukin being infinite wouldn't make any sense in actuality, and people like to rank Bleach, Naruto, One Piece to fit their own personal biases and narratives. I've seen multiple times in my comment section that because the Bukin is called infinite, therefore it is infinite, and that is simply not the case. Within the Can't For Your Own World light novels, which people try to use to justify and prove that the Mukin is infinite, states, and I quote, "Covered by infinite shadows on a jet black floor, multiple barriers had been set up to prevent even the faintest of light from reaching that underground jail," end quote. People oftentimes try to use this scan-in or argument to prove that the Mukin is infinite. However, all it's saying is that due to its barriers that the Mukin is pitch black and is entirely covered by shadows. Let me give you an example. If I were to cover my room with curtains and my room is now pitch black, does that then mean that my room is now infinite and has infinite shadows within it? No, right? As you can see, there are a lot of Mukin arguments that are inconsistent when it comes to Bleach, and truly comes from biased fans trying to wake their favorite series. I won't bother to go over the multiversal or 5D wank scalings for Naruto or Bleach, so I'll go right ahead with the question being asked. Tempest, does this change anything? And the answer is no. Kaguya would lose in the same way she would have prior, and the only difference would be a congruent form in terms of AP scaling. Kaguya would be completely overpowered and out-hacked, and if you think the comp Bleach version of Yhwach wouldn't do any better, well, I mean, for one, you're kind of lost, but there is absolutely nothing Kaguya can do at all. However, with that being said, I want to say an early thank you for that of 4,000 subscribers, as it does truly mean a lot to me, and as without you all, I wouldn't all be here today. However, remember to like and subscribe, as it would boost the progression of the channel towards our goal of 10k, and would once again be greatly appreciated. However, it has been Tempest. Make sure to have a nice rest of your day or night. Make sure to be and to stay safe. Until next time, bye.